So I think it's safe to say that I'm done with streaming services. Um, I am tired of overpaying for things that I don't own. And let me be frank, I'm also tired of overpaying for things that I do own. Um, I think the catalyst for this was that Spotify just recently raised their prices. They were at, um, I was paying for a family plan for my friends and my family and and I was fronting the cost just out of the kindness of my heart. It was like $16 a month, and we had a couple people on there, and they announced that they were raising it to $20 a month for a family plan, and I was like, something just clicked, something just snapped, and I was like, this is not worth it. I'm only listening to the same whatever stuff on repeat over and over again. I'm not really listening to new music. And slowly but surely, over the course of this past like year, 2 years, I've been making a. I've never left the physical media sphere. Let me be clear about that. You can tell by looking behind me at all these movies and like all these TV shows. I've never left the physical media bubble, but I did go pretty gung ho into streaming. I mean, who wouldn't? You get at your fingertips millions of hours of content, like more content than you could ever consume, and you get it for a fee. And then you can access it anywhere you want in your house, on your iPad, on your computer, on your TV. Like, it's a great deal. But for someone like me who I don't really have disposable income, like my income is what it is. Um, you'd probably think, why make the return to physical media and cancel the streaming services? It's going to cost you more money, which is true. I'm not sitting here and saying me buying movies is going to be less expensive than, paying for Disney Plus and, you know, watching all these different things. But if I'm honest with myself, I really only use one streaming service. I use Max, and I pay for half of it, and then I have another friend who has access to it that pays half. So I'm paying still about $8.50 a month. And I think Max is honestly going to be the only one I keep just because of the reality TV shows. I'm a sucker for 90 Day Fiance. I'm a sucker for all the spin-offs, and that's my shit. Sister Wives, Seeking Sister Wife, all that is my shit. But when it comes to like movies, right? I've always been someone who, if I love a movie, I'm gonna go pick it up. Um, and I've been doing what some people might call kind of like an overcorrection when it comes to um, going back to physical media. I've been collecting VHS tapes again. I kind of got a little bit shamed out of it from people in the past who were kind of saying like this is a very stupid hobby. But to that, you know, I live in my own apartment now. I'm an adult. I'm 26 years old as I'm recording this, and I just want to be content. So I'm going to do things that make me content. And as silly as that is returning to movies and going back to VHS. There's a couple movies. It's actually a lot of movies that I've picked up for very, very cheap that I have never seen. And I'm doing this kind of gimmicky thing where if I want to watch a movie for the first time and I can get it for cheap on VHS, I'm going to watch it for the first time on VHS. An example of that is the movie Twister, which there is a sequel coming out uh, in like 11 days. Today's July 8th. So the movie Twister, I had never seen it before. I'm a big Michael Crichton fan. I love, 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 love his stuff to death. Picked up Twister on VHS. I want to say this was probably like $2 maybe. And depending on where you get these from, they'll range from like 50 cents to paying boutique prices, honestly. But I've joined some fun Facebook groups that are about collecting VHS, so I've met some people locally. I've also been going hunting for VHS tapes at garage sales, so I've gotten some tapes for like 50 cents, which normally they'd be like, like $10. Like I got this at a garage sale, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I've never seen it. I've only ever heard good things. I got this tape for 50 cents, and online if I wanted to grab this movie, uh the tape version, it's like $10. And interestingly, tapes have been going up in price. This is something that was not a surprise to me. I said this all the way back in like 2017 that I think VHS tapes are next. Especially when I saw old movies being repackaged in like these fake VHS tape clamshells. I never bought any of them because I didn't see any reason to. But like Jaws, I'm pretty sure they did a re-release where it had like a clamshell VHS type thing. And Stranger Things also famously released their show with like VHS type packaging. And I was like, I know VHS is next, but when, you know? I apparently it's now. But just like there's something so wonderful about these things, right? And like yeah, they take up a ton of space. You compare this to something like a 4K movie, which I have right here. You know, it's very a 4K movie smaller. Granted, this is like a collector's 4K, so it's not the world's biggest difference, but it's still a difference. You can fit more 4K and Blu-ray movies on a shelf than you can VHS tapes. Um, but like just Pulp Fiction. I've never seen Pulp Fiction, and as like a film nerd, whatever, it's like, come on, you have to watch Pulp Fiction. So I picked this up. This was like $1, letterbox collector's edition, whatever any of that stuff means. But they're just fun. Like there's so much more intention behind watching these movies versus like, oh, I'm on a streaming service and they have this comedy from 20 years ago that I liked. I'm going to put it on in the background. And that's even if you find a movie, right? There is so much choice with streaming services that I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You get like paralyzed. You cannot pick what to watch. And don't even get me started on if you're watching a movie with someone else. You both have to agree on what movie you're going to watch. You both have to agree on what genre you're going to even go into. When I had a girlfriend, picking a movie for us to watch was impossible. We would open up Netflix. We're scrolling through Netflix. We can't agree on what genre. Netflix, you search the movie that you want and it pops up when you search it, but then it says we don't have that movie. Here's other stuff like that movie. Then you're going to Hulu. You're like, does Hulu have this movie? No. Does Amazon Prime have this movie? They have it, but you have to pay for it, even though you're already paying for Amazon Prime. And you're just going back and forth to find something that you're not even really going to watch. You'll pick up your phone, which I am super guilty of, and you'll just use it as background noise. Or you'll be playing video games and use it as background noise. There's no intention to it, and you're wasting all this time, and you're not even watching what you're there for. But especially these movies that I've never seen before. Like when I popped Twister in the VHS, I made sure it was at a decent hour, like 8 p.m., before I go to bed. I pop in Twister and I put my phone aside. Nobody's reaching me. I'm going to watch this movie. I've never seen it before. I'm going to watch it with intention. And just the feeling of handling this tape, man, there's something that you just can't describe it. I purport to be a writer and a poet and a storyteller, and I can't even describe to you what it feels like to just hold this in your hand and know that this is mine. Nobody's going to take it from me. Um, and like, this can't be edited, it can't be taken away. And I see it. If I'm looking for movies I want to watch, I'm like, oh, okay. I have less choice, yes, but is less choice a bad thing? Or is it actually one of the best things that can happen to someone looking for entertainment? I have in my living room next to I have a VHS and DVD combo player, and I have my PS5, and I have a Blu ray player. So I have everything all the way up from VHS to 4K playing capabilities. I watched a 4K movie last night for the first time that I'd never seen. I had watched David Cronenberg's Videodrome. I had never heard of it until yesterday, and I popped it in the 4K player, and it looks immaculate. Threw my phone to the side. I said, nobody's gonna bother me. I'm watching this movie for the next 90 minutes. I'm locked in, and it was great. It just felt so much more impactful. And like we talked about earlier, the upfront cost is higher depending on what media you're going for. So, like, Bad Boys is a franchise I want to get into. I have never seen any of the Bad Boys movies, and I've heard the fourth one is phenomenal, the one that's out in theaters now as I'm recording this. And so I want to watch the first one, and I want to watch it on VHS. This movie came out. When did this movie come out? This movie came out 1996 is what's labeled here on the tape. And this is how, if you wanted to watch a movie after it was in theaters, when this movie was still big and popular, this is how you watch the movie. I'm a big fan of, the 4K scans and just seeing things picture perfect. And, last night I was setting up the settings on my TV for all this kind of stuff, to just get a perfect picture for these new 4K movies. But there's just something so great about, Blockbuster presents John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter's original Halloween is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's just so interesting. I found this at the Goodwill bins years ago, so I paid like 3 cents for this thing. And yeah, I largely collect horror VHS, and even on the tape, it's got the Blockbuster Presents branding, which is so cool. And I own this movie on 4K. It's actually on this shelf. I have a giant shelf of just horror movies, Blu-rays, 4Ks, etc. So I own this movie in multiple formats. But, I like to do things for Halloween, spooky season, that kind of thing, have people over, watch movies. And the film nerd in me, is obsessing over the 4K. But whereas, like, when I'm hanging out with friends and family, I can just throw the VHS tape on. We're going to play it in the background, and it'll be fun and gimmicky. And it cost a fraction of what it did for the 4K. Now, all of this is to say that there is no right choice. There is no wrong choice. You could pay for every streaming service like I have been for years, and that's just what works for you. And it's technically cheaper and you get more out of it. But I just feel so unfulfilled doing that. And let me know if you guys feel the same way too. It feels less special. There is so much content always available at our fingertips that it feels like none of it really matters. And I've been someone who is trying to find more meaning. I want more things that matter. Like, yeah, these are movies, and at the end of the day, movies are for entertainment. And you can still watch some great movies in great quality in any room of your house. But I feel like I have too much convenience in my life. I need to be inconvenienced. I need to be forced out of these easy situations. And I don't know. Watching movies on VHS is a weird way for me to inconvenience myself and put more purpose into what I'm doing. And same thing with CDs. I've also been downloading music to old iPods. This is my iPod Shuffle, which I just happen to have on my desk. This holds a gigabyte of music, and obviously no screen. You can only control it with this thing. It doesn't. The controls on modern headphones won't work with it. Obviously, it'll use any modern headphones, but if I want to switch the songs, I got to use the buttons on here. I also have an iPod Nano that I use to store the rest of my music library on for if, I want to listen to specific albums. But if I'm on the go, my car has Bluetooth, but then I also get bogged down just skipping songs, and everything. So I can plug this into my aux port. If I'm running around, I can plug my headphones in. I can clip it on wherever I want, and it's a nice little talk piece. And all this to say is just like I've had a very noticeable shift towards less convenient technology. And obviously, it's too early for me to tell you what the results from that look like. Like, I've gone back to shooting on digital cameras. Like, this is my Canon PowerShot G9. I love taking pictures on digital cameras. I have tons of cameras. I shoot on film. I've been shooting on film for a couple of years, and I heard that recently, I think it was Twisters is shot on Kodak 35 millimeter film. They're shooting movies on film, which makes me so happy. Just, I just love the physical stuff, and I feel like we're getting so detached from everything. Not to say that this video is, gonna change minds, change hearts, but this is really just like my personal look at it and my personal experience. And I want to know how you guys feel. Is the availability of everything making things less special? Granted, I discover a lot of new artists through services like Apple Music and Spotify. Um, but also I could go to the record store, which I love to do, and I could pick up a CD of a band I've never heard of. And yeah, it's riskier. It's a higher upfront cost, but you know, I think we're just I personally I'm losing touch a little bit, and this is a way for me to try and rein that back in. So this is another episode of Certified Yapper. If you want to watch other videos, I'll link to other videos somewhere. It's been a while since I've done some YouTube stuff, but I hope to be back more frequently. You can also catch me streaming on Twitch, which I'll link in the description. Anything else, anything relevant stuff, I'll throw it around out here, but I genuinely appreciate you listening and staying for this yap sesh. So, yeah, I don't really know how to end this yet, so I'm just going to. Goodbye.